Hello class 10. See, today you are going to see the topic applications of electrolysis. And in this application of electrolysis, we'll see that where the electrolysis process is applied. So basically, we need to discuss about three applications. The first one is electroplating, the second one electrorefining, and the third one electrometallurgy. So we need to discuss about these three applications of electrolysis. So first we'll discuss about electroplating. Electroplating is a process in which a thin film of a metal like gold, silver, nickel, chromium, etc. gets deposited on another metallic article with the help of electricity. So it is a process in which a thin layer of metal, superior metal like gold, silver, we can deposit on another inferior metal like we can say iron, steel. Okay, this process we call electroplating. So the covering of one metal with the other, we call it as electroplating by the process of electrolysis. Okay, that is the definition. What are the reasons for electroplating? Why we need to do electroplating? The first one is for decoration purposes, so that the metals after electroplating looks attractive as well as beautiful. The second reason is to protect from rusting and corrosion. So electroplating is also done to protect the articles, to protect it from any kind of damage, say for example corrosion, or if it is iron then rusting. Okay, so these are the two main reasons why electroplating is done. What are the conditions required or necessary conditions for electroplating? Number one is article to be electroplated is always placed at the cathode. So the article which we want to layer up with another metal, you need to place it at cathode. And metal to be electroplated on the article is always made the anode. So which metal you are going to cover the other metal, you need to place it at the anode. Next, electrolyte must contain ions of the metal which is to be plated on the article. So the electrolyte that you need to take must contain ions which will deposit on that cathode. Say for example, if you want to deposit silver, okay, so the electrolyte must contain the silver ions. Next, a low current for a longer time should be used. So a low current which is used for a longer time in the case of electroplating. Now we'll see an example how an electroplating is done. Say for example, if you take an article made up of brass, bronze, and you want to coat it with the silver. Okay, now in this diagram you'll find that at cathode we have taken a brass spoon. Okay, brass spoon which is taken as cathode article to be electroplated. On the other side at anode we have taken a block of pure silver because this metal needs to be deposited on the brass spoon. Okay, and the electrolyte, that is the solutions you have taken is sodium arganotocyanide, that is the formula is NaAgCN2. Okay, now these two anode and cathodes are connected to a battery and with the ammeter. Ammeter is just to know whether the electric current flows or not. Okay, so this is the arrangement. Okay, now what will happen once you connect the battery? The current will flow through it and the dissociation of the electrolyte will take place. So electrolyte that you have taken is sodium arganotocyanide, formula is this one. Now once you pass the current, dissociation will take place in which this electrolyte will decompose into sodium ion, silver ion and cyanide ion. Whereas since it is aqueous solution, there will be a decomposition of water also as H plus and OH minus ion. Next, after the generation of the ions, positive and negative ions, the migration of the ions will take place. Now, at cathode, from electrolyte, silver ion will go and take an electron, or from cathode side it will take an electron and it will form a neutral silver atom that will be deposited on the cathode. Whereas at anode, at the same time, to maintain the concentration of the solution, since anode is made up of silver block, so that silver metal will go into the solution by losing an electron to form an ions, okay, Ag plus. So this process will take place until and unless the brass spoon is totally covered with a silver metal, okay, fine. So this is how electroplating is done. A similar kind of electroplating with nickel I have given you in the assignment, okay, so you can refer for that in your textbook, okay, for more explanation. Next, the second process we have got is electrorefining. Electrorefining or electrolytic refining is the process by which metals containing impurities are purified electrolytically to give a pure metal. So electrorefining means the refining or the purification of metal which contain impurities by passing electric current through it, that we call it as electrorefining, okay. And metals like zinc, lead, mercury, silver and copper can be refined or purified by electrolysis. Now, how the refining of copper is done? So this is the diagram. So in this diagram, if you see, then we have got these blocks, we can say, okay, slabs of impure copper, and we have got strips of pure copper, okay, and they are placed in alternate position, and anode and cathode, they are connected with the battery, we can say. Now, how the process of refining takes place? In this electrolyte solution that you have taken is solution of copper sulfate and sulfuric acid, okay. Sulfuric acid is taken because it makes it more conducting, okay. Now, how the decomposition and reaction takes place? So electrolyte that we are used is aqueous copper sulfate solution and dilute sulfuric acid. At cathode, we have got a thin stripe of pure copper. At anode, we have got impure copper. Now, since electrolyte copper sulfate will dissociate as Cu2 plus and SO4 minus, and sulfuric acid as H plus and SO4. Now, at cathode, copper ions from the electrolyte solution will go and take an electrons, and it will convert into a neutral copper metal that will deposit at the cathode. Whereas at anode, copper metal lose an electron to form copper ions which will go into the solution. Now, what will happen? The ions which are converting, they are getting deposited to the cathode. At the same time, what will happen? The impure copper which is present at anode will lose an impurities and it will settle down at the bottom, okay. The impurities that is settled below the anode, they are known as anode mode, okay. This is how refining of copper is done. Next, the third process is electrometallurgy. Electrometallurgy is the process of extraction of metals by electrolysis. So the process in which we can extract metal from its ore or oxide form by electrolysis process we call electrometallurgy. Metals such as potassium, calcium, sodium, magnesium and aluminum are extracted by electrolysis. Now, today's assignment number 7. Question number 1, mention the applications of electrolysis. Question number 2, what is electroplating? Why it is done? What are the necessary conditions for electroplating? Question number 3 is, in an electroplating an article with nickel, state the following: electrolyte used, anode and cathode used, reaction at cathode and reaction at anode. Okay. Next, number 4, define electrorefining process and name 3 metals which can be purified by electrolytic refining. Question number 5 is, in the refining process of copper, mention the following: electrolyte used, anode and cathode used, reaction at cathode and reaction at anode. And finally, the last question is, define electrometallurgy. So complete it and send it in my mail.